Hey there, my wedding planning friends, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for clicking on my video. I'm Emily Summer. I'm a wedding planner based in Montana, and I make weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice. So since I recently wrapped up my wedding season for this year, I thought that today's video I could talk a little bit about some of the favorite things that I see at weddings and things that I get to do at weddings as a wedding planner. And maybe that will give you some ideas for your wedding, or if you've ever questioned if there are certain things that wedding planners actually like or dislike at your wedding. This might give you a little bit of insight on that. Number one, so this was something that I did at a wedding just this year. And this was this super cool photo wall that kind of incorporated and tied together all of the design elements from the day, and it was also a fun way to kind of have all the guests interact and really document the overall decor and theme for the wedding day with their little personalized sign on it and also their wedding hashtag so that everybody could share their photos. And if you search the hashtag, everyone's wedding photos from the day would all be in one place. And so this was just a really fun piece, not only for me to kind of design and set up, but also really fun for all the guests there as well, and something to look back on for the bride and groom. I also love when couples either surprise one another or surprise a family member or their guests at their wedding with a special something. And this summer, the bride's sister surprised the bride and everybody there with a trumpet player during toasts as this tribute to their grandfather who had passed away. And it was this really special moment, not only for the bride and groom, but also for all of the guests there as well, because it was this fun, special surprise that nobody saw coming, but it was also this very emotional and touching moment during toasts to kind of pay tribute to somebody who couldn't be there. I also love when couples get creative with unique fixtures or some kind of piece that's going to set apart their wedding from other weddings that have been in the space, especially in places that are very popular wedding venues and venues that I see all the time. And so having kind of this special element makes it seem like it's not just like every other wedding that I work all the time or that I see photos of all the time. An example of this was the same wedding that we did that cool photo wall. We actually did a really cool floral chandelier that went in the space, and it really transformed the area. And this was a very popular wedding venue. I see a lot of weddings there, and I had never really seen something like this done there before, so it kind of set this wedding apart and was a really cool design element that kind of again tied in the whole style and theme of the wedding together. Another thing that I thought was really unique was I had a couple this summer. We're in Montana, so this is probably something that you might not see in other parts of the country, but in lieu of a guest book, the couple had a giant piece of leather that they actually had their guests sign, and then they branded it before going into the ceremony. So that was like their grand entrance into the cocktail hour. They had like their own brand and branded the leather before going into the reception space, which was something that I had never seen before. And so that was a really cool, unique little unity kind of ceremony to do, and also a special way to kind of commemorate the wedding day instead of just a guest book that they may never open again. I also had a couple years ago had a snow cone truck for their cocktail hour. Summers in Montana can be very warm, and it was a fun way to kind of have something unique for their guests and kind of help cool everybody off during that cocktail lull before the real party gets going. Something that I've seen a lot recently, and that we've done a lot more this year than in past years, is having the bride and groom have their own private dinner before dinner is actually served. And I don't know why I'd never thought to do this before, but it has worked out so well. And I think not only is it a special little moment to have the bride and groom have some alone time, because that is few and far between on your wedding day. And so not only do they get that time alone, but also, they're forced to eat. They have no excuse to not eat. Usually this is like after they take bride and groom portraits to kind of go into a hotel room or a back room or wherever there is space available at the venue to kind of have this private dinner by themselves. So they not only get to eat, they get to eat in peace without interruptions. They get a little bit of moment alone. And then that way, when you go in and dinner is ready to be served for the rest of your guests, it gives you a little bit more time to actually walk around and interact with your guests during that dinner hour as well. So I'm a huge animal lover, and I love when couples incorporate their dogs or their pets into their wedding. And I know some planners that don't like this as much because of the kind of coordinating that has to go with it. And so I will say make sure that if you do plan to have your pets physically at your wedding and incorporated into your wedding, that you do have people that are going to be their wranglers essentially, and people that are in charge of your animals. And don't expect it to just be you, because you're going to be pulled in so many different directions on your wedding day, that if you have your dogs there walking down the aisle or a part of your ceremony or there in any capacity, just make sure that you have a family member or somebody that they're comfortable with that's kind of on dog duty, so that they can make sure that they're okay, that they're following, you know, whatever rules your venue has for them and all of that, so that you don't have to worry about it, but so that it doesn't get put on somebody else either. But I love when couples incorporate their pets. I've had a couple weddings where they included their dog in the ceremony, either as like a ring bearer or somehow involved in the processional. Or if your venue doesn't allow pets, being able to incorporate them somehow. I made a cocktail menu with a couple's dogs on them. Like they were the drinks that you could order at the bar, kind of paid homage to their pets, which was really cute. Another thing that I have loved seeing at some weddings is when couples do private vows. So one I had this summer was they didn't do a first look, they didn't want to see each other before the wedding, but they did kind of stand on either side of a barn door and read their vows to each other. And not only was this a really special, touching moment for both of them, but it also gets really, really great photos, especially if you're not doing a first look and you don't have that kind of extra photo time to get those moments. I really loved seeing this with this couple. Next one is one that the couple did not have any control over or plan, but I had a wedding a few summers ago, and Montana summers, the weather can be very fickle. It could snow in the middle of June, it can rain in the middle of July, there's really no telling what the weather is going to do. And I had a wedding that was supposed to be really warm, and the ceremony was very hot, sunny. We had planned for sun all morning. It ended up raining most of the day. However, the sun cleared up for the ceremony, and then right after the ceremony during cocktail hour, it started pouring rain, and then it started hailing, and everyone is outside for cocktail hour because we were finishing up the reception space inside to get ready for dinner. And keep in mind, inside the reception space was a tin roof, and when rain or when hail lands on a tin roof, it is extremely loud. And so it was kind of this comical moment where, you know, you couldn't even talk to somebody because the hail was so loud. And I think, you know, so many people, when it rains on a wedding day, it's easy to get bummed out, especially during the summer when you're planning for a hot, warm summer day. And rather than getting bummed out or kind of feeling like they're getting gypped or having to move everything inside, the bride and groom ran outside onto the dance floor in the middle of the pouring rain and just started dancing. And this was still to this day one of my favorite memories from a wedding. And you know, once the bride and groom are out there dancing, all of the guests are going to go out and dance. And it was just this really cool, this happened all night. It was this really cool thing to watch where it was just like, you know, they got married, this was the best day of their life, and nothing was going to ruin it. And so to see them and all of their guests still enjoying the entire evening, whether it was rain or shine, was really fun to see. And number 10, I love when family and cultural traditions are tied into the wedding. In Montana, I don't get to see a whole lot of diversity when it comes to weddings, but I had a wedding this summer that was a Jewish and Greek wedding combined. But it was really cool to see both of these different families come together and contribute each of their own traditions to the wedding and have it be this combined special unity. And I feel like it really expressed what, you know, a wedding and a marriage is all about, and kind of these families coming together and being able to celebrate with each other's religions and each other's traditions and kind of bring them all into one. And it was a super fun wedding. They had all kinds of traditional Greek desserts. They did all of the Jewish traditions during the ceremony. They did the dancing at the reception that with the chairs in the air, and they had you know, the Greek dancing, and they threw plates down, and it was so many cool traditions all balled up into one wedding, and that was really, really special. I could do probably 50 videos on all of the things that I've loved to see at weddings that I've done, so maybe I'll do another part 2 sometime soon, but these are just a few of my favorite things I have done at weddings so far, and maybe they'll give you some ideas for your own wedding. If there's something that you really loved at someone's wedding that you attended, or something unique that you did at your wedding, I would love to hear about it, so let me know in the comments below. And hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe to get weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice, and we will see you next week.